Welcome to What the Freak. Excited for another episode. Today's guest, I have actually known for a long time, but we didn't connect for probably about a decade. This is the last time we saw each other. David Osborne, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Nate. Do you allow people to call you Nate, or should I call you Nathan?
No, Nate is totally cool.
All right,
actually, I only have a few close friends who call me Nate, but you can definitely call me Nate. We've known each other long enough.
Perfect. I didn't want to switch now.
I avoided Nate for a bit because I was around multiple Nate dogs, and so I kind of just let them have the whole Nate dog.
Yeah.
Title, so I just went by Nathan, but I like Nate, and a few people still call me Nate. I actually have a select one or two people who actually call me Nathaniel, which is not my name.
Wow.
But I was trying to get on for like a few months, and I had a few people still call me that, which is funny.
Yeah, they take it that extra mile. They're just like adding syllables to your name.
A little fancier,
Yeah. Cool.
So me and David met in college, actually, through a program called the Pat Tillman Leadership Through Action Scholarship Program. It was a 4-year program. We got, I think we were one of, if not the only year that got like a 4-year scholarship, and we were kind of recruited out of high school. The program kind of evolved from there, but man, yeah, that was one of the cornerstones of my college experience. That was such a powerful journey, and you were just talking about journaling right before this. I remember we did those, what is it, ALBs, I think they were called. Do you remember that?
I probably didn't do it. Like, just being honest, Nathan remembers me from college. Like, I was a different person back then. I definitely partied a lot. I think that was my main reason for coming to Arizona State. I mean, just like 60% of the people who come here probably or more. So
Sure.
I don't remember ALBs, but I do remember doing some cool things in the Tillman Scholars class, and it definitely sparked me on some different journeys throughout my life, which I guess we're going to dive into later on.
Mm-hmm. Dope. Well, if you'd like to just take a moment, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do today? How do you view yourself? Just anything you want to share. Around like a minute. Who are you?
It's so hard to answer that question, but I'll give it my best shot. So, like Nate said, my name's David Osborne Richards, world traveler, educator, entrepreneur, handsome guy. Right now I'm back in Phoenix. I just moved back after 8 years of living abroad, which we'll talk about later. And right now I'm doing real estate here in the Phoenix Valley area. So that's a little bit about me.
Dude, that was good. That was solid. Very succinct.
Awesome. Perfect. I've been practicing. No, I haven't been.
Well, dude, let's jump into the first topic.
What's
this? What you wearing there?
I don't know, for anybody who's watching the video right now, you can see that I'm wearing this green necktie. And I was FaceTiming my sister before this, and she was like, you're giving Boy Scout vibes right now. Like, everything else looks so good. Your outfit looks great, but lose the necktie, man. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, I like it, and I want to push limits. It's interesting to me. It throws a little color, a little pop. It's a conversation piece. And she's like, whatever. But I wanted to talk about that in the beginning because that's actually what sparked me to go to Arizona State, and then after moving to Arizona, eventually moved to Australia, is wanting to push limits and not wanting to just like do what like other people think is normal. You know what I mean? I like in college, or maybe even in high school, I started like experimenting with fashion. Started like rolling, like cuffing my pants. And I remember my best friend, he said like, dude, you're really gonna like uncuff the pants, man. Like, I'm not going out with you like that. I'm like, dude, like it's like in the GQ magazines, like, come on, man. And he's like, I'm not gonna say what he said, but he said like just a homophobic slur. And he's not a homophobe, like, but I was just, people back in the Midwest were very used to seeing a certain style of dress. And I didn't fit that image or want to fit that image. So I felt like, okay, move on, go somewhere else where they can appreciate it. And I found through my travels that like different regions of the world like appreciate different things different ways, like you pushing limits in different areas. So anyways, I wear the scarf because, you know, it's different. Why not be different? Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I love that. And I mean, as soon as you stepped out of your car, that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, oh, dope. Like scarf. I've never seen someone just wear a scarf like that around your neck, just tied off like that. I was like, hell yeah.
It's very French vibes, which I've never even been to France, but I feel like if I were in France, this is totally what I would rock every day. This and one of those, what are those hats with the little thing sticking up at the top?
Oh, shit, I'm so bad on names of things sometimes.
I know, me too with that, but it'll come back to me. But
yeah,
I would wear a scarf in that and maybe like a black and white striped shirt, and I'd probably have a pencil mustache.
Ooh, I could definitely see in the black and white striped shirt for sure.
Yeah, I love trying on, I guess, new cultures and fashions, and fashion is a part of culture. But I love trying these things on. And not in a cultural appropriation way, but just to like, just to do it, to try it. You know what I mean? Like to experience more life.
Yeah. I love how you describe this topic too of like, it's so interesting to me how people can have such a strong opinion on seemingly insignificant things, but it makes me realize like how much like my growing up years, I was just so programmed to operate in a certain way. And for many early years of my life growing up, I was a rule follower. And so whatever other people thought I should be doing, that's what I was doing, essentially.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think there is value and importance to being able to follow rules and stay within lines and boxes. Now, later on in life, I explored the opposite the last, like, decade or so.
Yeah.
In college, I started to, like, break out of some of that. But yeah, it's so interesting how I had this realization the year after I graduated college, and I worked for this marketing agency for about a year. And towards the end of that, I was like, you know, and this was definitely spurred by me starting to do some psychedelics, where I was like, I was waking up every day doing something because my whole life up to that point had led me there to be working this salaried position at this company and all of that. And I realized that I was living in someone else's house.
Yeah.
Like I woke up and I was like, I should like this house. It seems to have everything I think I should have. And yet it doesn't feel like home.
Yeah.
It feels like somebody else's. Like everybody in my life had helped me to piece together this house through the best of intentions on the best they could see for me. But they're not me, and they don't actually know me.
Yeah.
They don't know the deeper me. They don't know the evolving me, the unexpressed me. All they could see was what I had been allowed to be all those years growing up. And so all they were doing was reflecting that back based on what they had learned and what society it was acceptable and all that. But I realized, like, this isn't me. Like, the clothes don't fit. I feel like I'm wearing somebody else's life right now.
Yeah.
And so
sorry to jump in there.
No,
I found that like people really love to put you in a box that they can understand. Like, Nathan, you're a smart guy, you're a runner, you're an entrepreneur. That's it. You know, you can't just go for a year out at sea because you're an entrepreneur. We expect you to be here. If you're out at sea, how can you be a runner? You know what I mean? Like, so people just like expect you to be a certain way so that they can kind of expect what's going to happen next. So it puts them at ease, you know? But I just feel at a younger age, I mean, I don't know what, I might have been like 17 when I just decided, no, like, I'm just going to do what I feel like doing. So you can either like it or not like it, kind of like, and so it's sometimes hard for myself to define myself, but it's definitely hard for other people, I would say. Like, what is who is David Osborne Richards? Like, what does he do? He's changed his name. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's changed his career 3 times in his 20s. He's lived on 4 continents in his 20s. Like, it's hard for people to be like, oh, you're this, you know, which allows me to it allows a certain freedom for me. And freedom is like my buzzword. It's not my safe word in bed. It's my safe word in bed is IRS. Because I want them to stop fucking me. No, I'm kidding.
Dang, that's a good one.
No, but freedom is like my mantra in life. Like I've always wanted to be free. And I don't know if that comes from any deep roots of like, you know, African American slavery and stuff in the United States or what, but freedom is important to me. And people just can't really define me. So like I'm free to become a real estate agent after I've been a teacher in Asia or after I've been a fashion designer in Colombia. Like, you don't really know with this guy, you know, versus someone who's walking the straight and narrow. Like my sister, who I was on the phone with, you know, she's worked in corporate and banking for the past 10 years and she just quit. And people just are like, huh? Really? What? Like, they're very confused and they're kind of telling her, well, here's what's next for you. Here's another corporate job. You should work in fintech or something like that, you know, versus her having like a full breadth of options, you know, like freedom. I don't know.
Yeah. That reminds me of when I left my marketing agency. One of the co-founders said he would write me a glowing letter of recommendation and that he thought I could get another job at another agency within 3 days. That's what he told me. He's like, you're very talented. Like, I'll definitely recommend you. But I got let go from that company because I started turning work in late because something in my subconscious was sabotaging me because it wanted me to get out of there because it knew that wasn't meant for me.
Yeah.
And I never took him up on his offer to write me a letter of recommendation because I knew that I didn't want to go back to that. I had no fucking clue what was next, but I knew that that wasn't for me anymore. And there was nothing I could do to logically explain it to anybody, which is why I didn't just quit in the first place because I didn't have the balls back then.
Yeah.
Even though I knew I wanted to. I was like, I would disappoint my parents, I would blah, blah, blah. Like, why would you just give up this salary job and this career that's just
laid out in front of you?
And it's like I had no explanation for it. All I knew is there was something else pulling me.
Yeah. So it was like the subconscious, like moving you in the direction you should go. That's so interesting. And was that right before you took on your entrepreneurial, Nate? You know what I mean? Is that you quit corporate and then what?
Then I worked some odd jobs. My health was having all kinds of challenges. I went to Burning Man.
Well, you were a fruitarian. You were just telling me for a little bit, like.
Oh yeah. During the end of college, I was. Yeah, I was already experimenting with some weird things in college, and then afterwards, it only got more extreme from there. But yeah, Burning Man after that in 2013. Then the next year, I started my business and did ayahuasca for the first time, and it's kind of history from there. That's when I just started paving my whole path that made no sense to me whatsoever. I never even worked in a restaurant when I started my restaurant. So that just kind of shows you how far from far left field it came.
I love that.
Because I was just so open to like, all I know is what I don't want. Like, I don't want this.
Yes.
I have no idea what I do want. So like, universe, help me out here because I have no clue.
Dude, I love that. That's so the same thing happened to me or something similar where you knew what you didn't want and you didn't know what you wanted, but you knew what you didn't want. And that led you into, starting a restaurant, even though you never worked in a restaurant business. And for me, I was helping my parents move down to Colombia, Medellin. And like my mother and I went down there first to just scout the land. So we started in Cartagena. We went to Medellin next. We ended up in Bogota and on an island called San Andres. My dad has Parkinson's. And so we were moving him there because his medical expenses, I don't know if I've told you this before, his medical expenses here in the United States were $100,000 a year.
Wow.
$100,000 a year. And they were just giving him pills, like I swear to you, I saw one day like a bag full of pills, and I was like, are those his pills for the week? No, those are for today. Like he was on like 36 pills a day or something like
Whoa.
that. This one offsets these ailments. This one offsets the side effects of those pills. It was crazy. And I'm just like, this is the best that America has to offer. Like as far as healthcare goes, my dad's worked and he saved up like a bunch of money, and this is how he's going to spend his last years. So I came up with this idea. Let's move to another country that has better healthcare. Anyways, to make a long story short, we get to Colombia, we get to Medellin, and I have a visa because I'm supposed to be moving to New Zealand. I have a visa to go work and live, and I have like my living situation's already set up. I even have a job set up in New Zealand. And I get to Medellin and I fall in love with the people and the city. Like if you ever get a chance to go, listeners, I highly recommend it. It's not what you think. It's not Pablo Escobar and cocaína and putas, whatever you might think about Colombia. The women are beautiful, I will say that, like, and not in a misogynist way. But anyways, fell in love with the city, and I wanted to stay, but I was like, I need money. I've got student loans and stuff like that. And so I was like, what can I do? And so I started a fashion company in Medellin, having no experience ever drawing anything like fashion-wise. Like, I don't even know if I was that fashionable at the time. I don't even know if I am now.
You're just running fashion experiments.
Exactly. Yeah. So I started a fashion company down there because I knew I didn't know. I just knew where I wanted to be. You know what I mean? I felt a calling. I felt, like I stepped out on faith, really. And I feel like that's exactly what you did. It was just like, I know I don't want to do this. So I'm just going to give up. I'm going to put my hands up, and I'm just going to see like what the universe is going to bring to me, which I think like having experiences like Burning Man and ayahuasca or psychedelics, like you kind of just, you really do open up with those things. Your mind opens up at least. So.
Dude, that's inspiring. Thanks for sharing that. Like, fuck yeah, dude. Like,
I know I went on a roundabout way of doing it. Sometimes I do that. Stop me if I do that. Like where I start a story and it has a good point, but I start with like, I was born in 1989 in Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's like, what the hell does that have to do with the story? It has nothing to do with the story. It doesn't even make it better at all.
No, it was a great story. Dude. So that was like, it was like, jeans was supposed to be like your primary thing, right? Or was that a different one?
No, that's right. I was making like bespoke jeans for men and women, and I got the idea from a company that I loved in Australia who did the same thing. But what ended up happening is like I made this T-shirt for a few of my friends who had helped me make a video. So I made a T-shirt for I made 6 of them, and I gave them to my friends, and like it said Medellin, but it was backwards because I wanted to change the perception on Medellin. And like, I knew that this was a conversation piece. Like I was bartending in Cincinnati, and people would be like squinting at my shirt, like, what does it say? What is it? And when they figured it out, they would ask me, why is your shirt backwards? Why does it say Medellin? And I would get a chance to talk to them about the city and talk to them like, hey guys, it's not Pablo, it's not Coke, it's not what you think it is, it's not as dangerous. And it was a conversation piece. So the 6 people that I made the shirt for were all Colombian. And they started saying, hey David, like my cousin wants one, my aunt wants one. I'm like, guys, this isn't the business. Tell them about my jeans, guys. And they were just like, yeah, your jeans, but just hook my cousin up. And so I ended up putting it in cafes all around the city. The T-shirt, like it took off, and the jeans it went. That was really hard. But the T-shirt ended up being worn by like 2 Grammy Award-winning artists. One of them, J Balvin, he's like the number 11 artist in the world right now. And he has a shirt. I don't know if he still has it. His DJ was wearing it on their private jet and took a selfie. And I was like, yep, we made it. No, but we didn't make it. We never made, like, I ended up selling the business to my partner for pennies before moving to Asia. So
Dude, what I love about that story is I feel like I've had a lot of moments in life where it's like, I think it's going to be one way, or I think it's going to be this one thing. But then
Yes.
I work so hard for that one thing, and that thing never works out. But then this other thing that kind of came secondary to that thing is the thing that I'm like, oh, this thing is actually the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what happened, where it's just like I had blinders on, yo. Like I could care less about the t-shirts, really. Like the t-shirts was the side business. That was the French fries. Like my jeans were the steak, the hamburger, whatever. And I didn't pivot fast enough, which is why eventually I had to sell the business, because instead of quickly realizing like, here's your hot product and here's what you need to focus on, I didn't realize it till it was too late, and I was like out of money, and I had to go back to the United States, or, well, actually I ended up moving to Asia. But yeah, I just didn't pivot fast enough because like I said, I had blinders on to what I thought people should want, you know?
Dude, that's huge. I have like multiple things coming up right now I want to ask you about. So,
Yeah.
one, like it sounds like to me, like what you just described to me sounds like the plight of an artist,
Oh,
where it's like you think that like you see your art in one way, but like what other people connect to might be an entirely different thing than it is to you. Like what you are creating with that art and what it means to you could be entirely different than what a larger amount of people might actually connect with. So that was like one thought that came up.
we have a mutual friend. And I'm not going to say anyone's names, but they're an artist, and I was helping them out, towards the beginning, and they were super talented. One of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. And they wanted to make the art that they wanted to make, and I couldn't convince them otherwise. Like, yo, that's really good what you want to make, but like the world will take this other stuff that I know you can make. But they didn't want to pivot. And yeah, so things, I don't know if things are working out or not, or they're happy. They've definitely continued to make their art the way they want to. But sometimes the world tells you, it's like shouting at you, like, yo, we don't care about that thing that you want to do. We want this other thing that you have already shown that you can make, that you can do.
Dude, that's wild, and I know who you're talking about. And honestly, it was one of the very first early inspirations in my path to becoming an artist, specifically becoming a musical artist. I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking
You
about.
do.
Yeah. And dude, that's something I've wrestled with. I mean, I think what you just described is actually the reason it took me 7 years to release my first single, where I felt like this is who I am and want to be known as an artist. It took me 7 years of personal, spiritual, and character development and artistic development to get to the point where I knew who I was as an artist. And for me, it's, yes, I want to create art that feels authentic to me and that it's like the art that I want to make. And I'm also aware that other people can connect with my art, and it's not just for me. And so I actually want to make the art that is the Venn diagram intersection of like what feels authentic to me and what will actually serve and support, and I'll even say like be a medicine for other people that they resonate with and connect with.
Yeah.
And that's like the whole fusion and reason behind my label, which is called Casual Spiritual.
Casual or casual?
Casual.
Okay.
Casual.
I thought you
casual.
made up your own word there. Casual.
Causal.
Like kind of like causal, but
Causal,
also
but
casual at the same
ooh.
time. I was like, that's cool. I'm gonna steal that.
Casual, yeah, steal that for sure. Steal it like an artist.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I understand.
Great book, by the way. Steal Like an Artist. Austin Kleon.
I haven't actually read it, but I'm familiar with the concept. I know what the book's
yeah.
about, and yeah. But yeah, I understand what you're talking about, and that's a tough thing, I think. I don't know. I'm just of the belief that it's possible to do both, and I see certain artists most artists probably go a little further one way or the other, where they're just making that shit for what other people want, the hits and what's hot and trendy. And then there's the opposite end of like, I'm just making this because I want to make this, and I'm in my bedroom and I'm making the music that I want to make and listen to, and fuck what anybody else thinks about it. Right? There's those two extremes. I think it's rare the artists who can find that like middle ground where it's the intersection of both, where it is still authentic to you and you're aware of there's other people who want to listen to your art, and there's a way to create that art authentically that has a higher likelihood of connecting with people. Yeah.
It brings to mind, so senior year, I started listening to The Weeknd. Before The Weeknd, like when I would tell other people, hey, like they're like, what are you listening to? I'm listening to The Weeknd. They are just like, who's that? Like,
I remember you telling me about The Weeknd and your love of The Weeknd.
I was one of the biggest like evangelists in the Phoenix area, I would say. Like, I was listening to him when he only had like a few 100,000 listens on his thing, which is crazy now because he's like billions of listens, you know. And this is before people knew what his face looked like either. Like, he had never shown his face, so you just heard a voice. So anyways, I was a super fan of his. And then he went mainstream and became the #1 artist in the world. But he stopped making music that I liked, that I felt like was visceral and very real and authentic, like this angel singing in a closet in Montreal. You know what I mean? To switch to I can't feel my face when I'm with you, and like soccer moms are jamming to it and stuff, and I'm like, dude, he's talking about coke, guys. He's talking about cocaine. I can't feel my face is about drugs, and I'm just like, oh, it's so sad. I have to like let you go, but like as an artist, I feel like maybe he feels probably soulless and probably lost in the world. Like he doesn't look very happy, but he is a multi-millionaire, and now I feel like if he wanted to, I don't know how tight the chains are in Hollywood and in the music industry, but he could go back, he could stop, and he's young, he could just make the music he wants to make now. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at in life, which is kind of like a weird place to be, is get the money. This is terrible, but we're gonna get real here. All right. I just hired a life coach or a mindset coach, and I told her, hey, look, like I'm hiring you because I want to play at a higher level in all areas of my life. Physically, like I want to be like more fit. Emotionally, I want to be more cool with myself, you know, spiritually, all the things. But I think finance is kind of like the first thing. Let's really focus on finance, because I think all those other things will fall into place, because I already work out, I already eat healthy, I already, you know, meditate and do other things like that. And the more money I have, the more I can afford to like put into each of those categories. Yep. I can hire a personal trainer. I can have a yoga studio subscription or whatever, membership, which is super expensive out here in Scottsdale or Phoenix, Arizona. Like I can put more money into developing myself. Like, so right now my mindset is like, gather the money. This is energy. And then use that energy in the things that you want. And in the past, that hasn't always been my mindset. It's been, you know, kind of do what you want. You know what I mean?
Have experiences.
Like, I mean, and that's a very millennial mindset, is like experiences. But anyways, yeah, like that's what I think about The Weeknd and art and and other things. I know it was a lot.
Yeah, dude, I love that. One thing I'll reflect back that I was hearing you say is, you know, priorities change over time, and people change and evolve, and you never know like how other people are going to perceive you differently if you start moving in a different direction. But like, fuck it, like you got to do what you got to do, and like you're going into the phase you're going into, and on some level, you know, I believe there's not really a right or wrong, you know, not a right or wrong way to do it. It's just, you know, what what do you feel called to do? Like, what is true for you right now?
But what's your philosophy on it? We're the same age, I think. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say how old I am because I'm going to feel old when I say it. I'm ageless. Anyways, so what's your philosophy? Is money very important to you right now?
It is becoming more and more important to me, almost out of necessity, because of, one, how much cash flow I'm now responsible for in my business. I've had to get better at the game of money because there's too much at stake and too many people that, like, I can't ignore it. I think for a long time I ignored it, and I was like, money's not that important. I'm just like, my whole 20s, I'm like, I'm just trying to discover myself and live these experiences and just like make a lot of risky bets and just like, a lot of long shot bets on myself, and many years not only without money but going further and further into debt, actually, personally and with the business, to get everything off the ground, because I was never really taught in a way that was resonant for me on like my relationship with money. I had never developed a great relationship with money. I always had what I needed. It was taken care of. I grew up, we always had food on the table and everything. We weren't rich or anything, but, I earned scholarships to go to college. So I had that just kind of taken care of. So I didn't really think about money.
Yeah.
But then once I got out of college, I actually graduated debt free, which was great. And then after college, I went into a lot of debt, which I've paid a good amount of that back at this point, and I still have a little bit to go. But money right now is over the next few years becoming very important to me. I wouldn't say it's like the number one thing that's driving me, but the more money I have, the more I'm going to be able to do, the better I'm going to be able to take care of the people in my life, the better I'm going to be able to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And the less stress I'm going to have, so the more free I can show up to my life.
Right.
Because it sucks having excess financial worries and debt, because it does weigh you down to a degree. And I've went many years of, going through life with that weight, and I'm ready to experience more and more what it feels like to not have that weight.
Absolutely.
So I'm getting close. I'm getting there. It's not perfect yet. I did finally, buy myself a nice thing or two for the first time in my life.
Ooh, I want to see.
Well, you saw my car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see that. That was a nice car.
Yeah. So, I got that really because it just felt like an authentic expression of me. It's like
it is.
That really is the main reason. I actually don't give a fuck about having fancy things. I like having things that really resonate with me on a deep level.
Absolutely.
And give me what I need. So that's also why I'm like renting like a 3-bedroom house. I do have one roommate, but it's probably over twice the amount I've ever paid for rent before. Even with that coming in, it's like, but I needed my own space. I needed to set the energetic tone of my living space because my life's so intense. Like I need a space I can come home to and like relax truly and have what I need there and be able to have my energy spread out. Absolutely. So it's like I like spending money on things that allow me to stay centered and to just more and more every day feel myself in the highest degree.
I want to tell a story, but I also don't want to tell the story. Here's what I will say, though, is something that I learned is, money doesn't solve all your problems, but it does solve all your money problems, which is nice. I mean, it's simple, but I've been saying that, or I've been hearing from another podcaster that I listened to, James Altucher, back in the day. I used to listen to him, and it's so true. Like, there are so many problems that are the result of not having money, and for example, my car doesn't work and I can't fix it because I don't have money. My girlfriend and our relationship is kind of falling apart because I don't take her out on dates anymore, and I can't because I don't really have money. There are so many things. Like, no, money isn't going to solve, mental health issues or anything like that. But hey, it can help actually, because you can afford to, get a therapist or something like that. Yep. So it's like, but then once you have the money, you have to decide, like Kanye West, like you got to decide to go to therapy. You know what I mean? Like you have all the money, like, and hopefully that shit works. I think he needs a new therapist. I don't know. Anyway, I love the guy. But yeah.
Another interesting artist to discuss.
Yeah. I love art. I love artists, and I that's why I wanted to hang out with you anyways. Like catching back up was because I see a lot, like if I may say, you were so nerdy in college. You were just like,
oh yeah,
you were just like into running and books, like not reading books, but like studying. It seemed like
academics.
Yeah, I had you in that box, and I was just like you were just kind of like, I was like, Nate Dogg, whatever. I didn't think much of you at the time, but then and I told you this, and I was just like I didn't tell you that then, but I'm saying like I told you over the past decade, like I've watched you from afar, and like you become very like creative and artistic. I don't know if it was the Burning Man that did it or the ayahuasca or what, but I'm just like, this is a new guy. Mm-hmm. I want to get to know this guy. He seems cool. Yeah. So shout out to you, and shout out to ayahuasca and also this water that you gave me. It's great.
Dude, it's really good water, right?
Yeah, it might be my new favorite.
Italian spring water, man.
I like French sparkling water. Perrier.
Okay.
That's my shit.
Perrier is great. I will say that I have become a Topo Chico fanatic. I love Topo Chico.
San Pellegrino, it's too flavorful. I don't know. It's weird tasting. But shout out to Aqua Panna. If you're listening, sponsor this podcast. We need your help. We need, as you could hear earlier, we're looking for funds.
Yes, indeed. I am in the hole on this podcast, which I'm happy to invest in it for a while, but eventually
we're in deep.
We're gonna need to have some finances come back through this one day.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to like send us $100, we'll go to Vegas right now. We'll get there by 6.
And we'll vlog that shit, so you get something out of it too.
That would be insane. If this was live, yes, I would love to see that happen. I would be down. I mean, I do have to be at work later on. But anyways, okay, so I wanted to, if I may, I'm not the host of this podcast.
No, you get to guide. You get to direct. I'm here every time. So you have, I'm submitting to your creative inspiration on the direction that we go with this.
Okay. Because I want to give some people some value from this. I want people to walk away from this podcast. I love learning. I love learning. Every morning I read for at least 15 minutes. I'm learning junkie. So I want to give people value, and something that I can give from my personal experience is about travel. And that's what we just said at the beginning of this, like before. Hey, let's talk a little bit about travel and the future of it, and my experience with it. So right before the pandemic hit, in 2019, I turned 30. Damn, I just gave away my age. Okay, so hopefully you guys are bad at math out there. I'm Benjamin Button. I'm 27 now. Okay, so anyways, right before the pandemic hit, it's 2019. I turned 30, and I spent my 30th birthday I went to Greece, I went to Morocco, and then I went to Berlin, which I've been to Germany before, but I went back. And Morocco was the 30th country that I visited. So I went to 30 countries before I turned 30. Wow. And I've lived, just as a short summary, in Australia as a bartender for a year, in Colombia as a fashion designer and entrepreneur for 2 years, in Asia and Vietnam and Taiwan for 3 years. So those are 3 different continents, plus obviously I'm from the United States. So I've lived on 4 continents in my 20s and really soaked up a lot of experiences and stuff. And like swam with sharks, did a bunch of shit, like meditated Vipassana, like I told you, like for 10 days straight in silence, rode motorcycles through entire countries from the south of Vietnam to the north, went to Bali and fasted and practiced yoga in India, and was up in the Himalayas doing other shit. So a lot of crazy cool experiences. And I don't say that to brag. I just say that to preface what I'm about to say, is people always ask me, like, so what, are you rich? First of all, like, are you rich? Then they also ask, like, how old are you? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I think I'm still young. And they always say, yeah, you're really young. But they also ask if I'm rich. That's their like the number one question. Like, are you a trust fund baby? Like, how did you have enough money to do this? And I'm always just like, yo, you guys can do it too. I'm not rich. Like, I graduated, unlike you, I had student debt when I started traveling. But I don't anymore. And it was while I was traveling, I was able to pay it off. Like, how can you pay off over $20,000 in student debt while traveling? Well, like, I worked in these different places, as you just heard. Like, I was a bartender in Australia, and wages there are different. They pay a livable wage. Like, $20 an hour is minimum wage there. And they have to give to a retirement fund for you as well. Like 10% of your wages has to go, like they have to give on top of your $20, another $2 for every hour you work into a retirement fund. And when you leave Australia, you get all of that money and you get all the taxes that you paid. Like, so I left Australia with over $10,000. And that allowed me to travel for 6 months through Asia because the cost of living is super cheap in Thailand and in Singapore and other places like that. So there is a formula. And like, if anyone wants to, ask me a question after the podcast, like you can reach out to me on my Instagram, David's Never Home, and ask me like, how can I go to this place or that place? And I can kind of break it down because it is possible. I just wanted to like share with people that you don't have to be rich to travel around the world and to do really, really cool shit, like go surfing where have I been surfing? I've been surfing in Australia. I've been surfing in California, of course, in Taiwan. Yeah. Like in doing all kinds of other cool, crazy things. You don't have to be rich. Like, so that's what I wanted to say first. And second of all, I wanted to talk about, and like, I want your opinion on this as well. Like COVID-19 has shifted some things. A lot of people are working from home these days. So like, as travel restrictions are being lifted around the world, this is a really great time to start traveling again. And especially if you're able to work remotely. Like there's this thing that I love and my mother thinks I'm a nerd for it. And she's like, don't use that word. People don't know what that means. And I'm just like, well, they got to learn. Geographic arbitrage. Are you familiar with the concept, the term?
Help me out.
Help me out? No.
I've heard the term arbitrage before. I can't say I remember what it means.
Okay. In a nutshell, and I'm not going to give you the crazy definition of it. Just think of it this way. I make US dollars. Let's say I make $2,000 US a month. It's not a lot of money here in Phoenix, Arizona, but you can survive, sure. Right? Well, let's say I move to Colombia, to Medellin, where my parents live, with that $2,000. Well, the cost of living in Colombia is about 25% or 30% of what it is here in Phoenix. So I can live the same lifestyle that I live on $2,000 here for $700 there and like be the same. But if I just bumped it up to like $1,000 or $1,200, holy crap, now I'm living kind of like a baller lifestyle, on a budget. So now that people are able to work remotely, like I highly recommend this, guys. Like my brother is a salesperson, a vice president, VP of sales for a company. And one of the sales people on his team lives out in Bali, and he makes $25,000 a month doing sales with my brother. Wow. $25,000 a month. And he lives in Bali. And I've spent a lot of time in Bali, and you don't need that much money there. And my brother asked him, how much do you spend every month? Like, what's your living expense? Like $2,000, $3,000? He's like, yep, basically $3,000. He lives like in a villa, like a beautiful, like bookcase behind him, office space for himself. Like he walks onto the beach. He's got a private pool, like infinity pool. Just like he eats and drinks whatever he wants. It's all fresh, and he's living on $3,000 a month. And what about the rest of the money? I'm like, he must be building an empire with $22,000 extra. Like, just think how quickly you can invest into stocks, into houses, into whatever you want, or start your own business.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, benefiting from making a good amount of money in one place and then pairing that with a significantly reduced cost of living in another place. And now you're like, over here, you're a king, basically.
Exactly. See, I knew I liked you for a reason. You're a smart guy.
Wow.
You get it.
That's fucking dope. Yeah, it's for sure. Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's just an option. Or, like, if you do go out and travel, another thing that I really care about is not traveling like an American. Like, I don't travel like an American. Like, not to say I'm better or something like that. No, I'm not even. But I really care to know the culture wherever I go. Like, I try and learn some of the language, like at least the basic, like hello, thank you, how much does this cost? That's too expensive. Those are my those are my words. No, I'm just kidding. But hello and thank you for sure. And are the words that I try and learn in every country that I've been to. And when I'm there, a lot of Americans, we go for 3 days, we go for a week, we go on a 10-day trip or like an all-inclusive package and stuff. And I'm like, yo, you do not know, like you're not getting the culture. You're getting the Eiffel Tower, the photo in front of the Eiffel Tower, the photo in front of this building or that thing. But you're getting the cookie cutter tourist experience versus like, yo, like I'm eating dinner with Thai people on the floor in their house or in eating some, like I've eaten or drank this bottle of liquor that had lizards in it that were fermenting lizards, big lizards, like 20 of them in this bottle. And they opened it for me and my friend who I was traveling with. They opened it for us and there was like flakes of skin and everything from the lizards because they'd been in there for 7 years.
Whoa.
And I drank probably 2 glasses of it. It was pretty decent. Like it was weird, but like that's an experience that a tourist isn't going to get.
Yeah.
For free. And this was for free. These people invited me into their house. Like I didn't pay for that. And that's what happens when you travel slower, when you stay for a little bit of time. Like, and to me, the golden number is 3.5 weeks. If you stay somewhere, it's weird. It's so specific, but
yeah, why not 4 weeks?
Why not? I don't know. I think it'll stick in people's head. That's why. So like 24 days, something like that, and that's when you can say like, okay, I kind of have my finger on the pulse of the country. And of course you can't just be on an all-inclusive trip.
Yeah.
You have to like try different things, go out of your comfort zone a little bit. Most places are safe. The United States is not the safest country in the world. You know what I mean? There's people with guns in Walmart and stuff like that. Like I was just there yesterday and saw a lady with a gun on her hip and I was like, oh my God, I don't feel safe. But in other countries I feel really safe. So
wow.
That was a rant, but thank you for obliging me.
Dude.
Obliging me. Is that the word?
Yeah, that's the word.
Sometimes I use words, I just throw them out there like, does that work?
I do the same, man, for sure.
It's how you learn. You got to push your own limits all the time.
I just learned a new word today. Well, I understand it now. Geographic arbitrage.
Yeah. Have you traveled a decent amount?
Not much yet. No, really not. I stayed in El Salvador for a week as like kind of an immersion experience. That was actually back when I was in college still. And then other than that, just Canada, Mexico. But I'm about to go to Peru for 2 weeks. So looking forward to that. Not 3.5, but I'll be there for 2 weeks. I'll also be kind of in a retreat for 10 days. So
yeah,
will be a little different of an experience. But
right. That's going for a specific experience versus like if you want to go to a place for culture, which is, it's just different.
I would love to go to Thailand and Bali and spend like a few weeks there. That would be amazing. That's like next on my list for 2023. That's my goal, is to make that trip finally happen. I've wanted to go to Thailand for years, and then I started to learn about Bali as well. I'm like, well, if I'm already over there, I might as well.
You might as well
do both.
And they're very different. Like, it's hard to say for me which one is like I like better. They're similar, but same but different is actually a saying that they say over there. So yeah, man, I'm excited for you to do that.
One thing I wanted to say before I forget about something we had actually talked about when we met up a couple weeks ago for brunch was that whole comment you had of like people asking you, oh, are you rich? It's like, no, you decided what you wanted to do, and then the path unfolded from there, and then you figured it out as you went.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
Like, I so resonate with that, and like that's the fucking key right there. Like that's it. That's literally how I've done everything in my life over the last 10 years too.
Absolutely. And I wish I had my laptop or something like that to show this image. When I decided I was going to move to Australia, like I'd lived in the United States my whole life, more or less. I'd been to a couple countries or whatever. I decided in a moment, and I wrote down on a big piece of poster board, which is something that I learned from Tillman Scholars, from my mentor. Sorry for pounding on the table. My mentor taught me how to set SMART goals. And he's like, have you ever heard of this before? I was like, nope. He's like, look it up on Wikipedia. So I started writing goals my sophomore year, and my grades turned around, my relationships turned around. Like, I became a better person. And so I would write these goals up on a board. Anyways, I decided I'm moving to Australia. I wrote in a big red marker, 8K. Like, how much money do I need? $8,000. I never saved this much money in my life. $8,000 Australia is what I wrote, and I just put it up on the wall. And like, and so I started working towards it, right? And I'm working towards it. I'm halfway there, and I'm like a month. I've already bought the ticket. I've already bought the visa and stuff like that. And I'm a month until it's time to go. And I'm just like, I'm not going to make enough money to get to 8K. So I one day I'm just taking a nap, and I believe the power of resting is important. People take that for granted. And I'm taking a nap, and I wake up, and I'm just like thinking about taxes. You should file your taxes. When's the last time you did that? Like 3 years ago. So I go and I file my taxes, and I get like $3,000 back, which makes the 8K complete. Believe it or not, it's weird. It's weird how the universe conspires, like through a nap, like a month before I left. So write it down. Once you decide you want to do something, like, so if you haven't written down that you want to go to Bali and Thailand in 2023, I suggest that. Like, write it down. Write it, make it specific. Like, I want to put $2,000 in a bank account, or $3,000 to go to Thailand and do this thing. And it will happen. It will. Sorry, it's very woo-woo of me, but
you're allowed to evolve and try different things out. It's cool. You can be spiritual and you can be casual.
Yes. You can be spasual.
Oh, another new word, spasual.
Spasual it's too close to spaz though, so I don't know if you can use that.
But it's like spatial as well, so I kind of. So
you spatial, girl. You use that as a pickup line later on. There's a girl. This is crazy. Like, I shouldn't talk about my personal life, but there's a girl at a coffee shop that works near us, downtown. And so hopefully she'll watch this episode or listen to this. And by then I'll know her name, and we'll have been on several dates. And I can say, I shouted you out in a podcast before I knew who you were, girl. Because I honestly think she might be my wife.
Wow.
I've already called, like, my friends and family. I'm like, I just met her. I met the one. And I was like, well, I got to go now. I'm going on this date with this other girl. So these are true stories.
Wow. You're going to... I see it now. You're going to play this audio at your wedding, on your wedding day. Just, you called it. You called your shot.
I want you to DJ this for me at the wedding. I want you to be there. And the music's playing or whatever. It's Drake, and then you stop and you throw this line in. Yeah. Like, I don't even know your name, girl. And then keep the Drake playing. And then, but I'm going to meet you at the coffee shop,
Oh, dude, I will totally work that into a song for you. Hell yeah.
Please chop that part up.
I got you. Also, if you want, one of my goals over the next couple of years is to become a wedding officiant. So if you're looking at that time, hit me up.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm kind of like you, where I don't know if I'm going to get married or not.
Same. Yeah.
You know, maybe. Any takers out there, you know, again, at David's Never Home. I'm an open person. Okay, so I know we've only got a couple minutes left of this podcast.
We can go a few more minutes, but yeah.
I know.
I want to get to that topic.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like,
we have the perfect amount of time for it.
That's what I was thinking. So you want to introduce it? Your thoughts on the Web3 and social media and where everything's headed?
Yeah, man. I guess I'll start by saying, like, what a fucking wacky world we live in. Like, I more and more ascribe to the philosophy of the truth is stranger than fiction. I feel like that is like more and more, like, I get what that means now, to me at least, of like, dude, the world is so fucking weird. Like, and what is happening is this, how I see it is, there's a lot of smart people on this planet, right? Like, there's some really intelligent people. There's a lot of not smart people also on this planet.
Yep.
But I feel like almost nobody can even understand the totality of what's happening, myself included. Like, I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface on understanding what's actually happening right now with all of that.
Yeah.
And it's very, like, humbling. Like, on the one hand, it's very exciting. It can also be very scaring and, like, fear-inducing. Because, like, there's these, if I had to boil it down, there's these, like, two distinct possibilities I see, right? Like, one of them is this very dystopian future where basically we destroy ourselves and, like, it's the end of our species and, like, we're effed. You know, the Earth even will probably be fine, but, like, we're effed.
Interesting.
So that's kind of, like, one extreme where, like, through us destroying the planet / you know, governmental whatever, you know, crazy leaders just go more and more extreme in their control tactics, and now we're basically living in a future that nobody wants to live in, including them, I would say, eventually. Yeah. So that's, like, one extreme. The other possibility, and I'm actually not a very black and white person, but in this case, when I extrapolate out, there's really only two possibilities. It's either that, or we are creating literally a future where we more and more meet everybody's needs, wants, and desires and dreams. And, like, everybody more and more gets the opportunity to have their wildest dreams be fulfilled.
What? That second one, I'm just like, I'm with you on the first one. That's a clear possibility. But I'm like, I'm an optimistic person, I like to think. I'm just like, huh? Like, where everyone can do everything?
I could be completely wrong, but I believe over time it would converge on one of the two. And there would be less and less of even a possibility for a middle ground. And the reason I say that is because technology is getting to the point where if we don't properly build a relationship with it, it will eventually destroy us because we haven't figured out how to master it, and therefore we nuke ourselves, essentially, to put it simply.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just like a nuke, right? It's like artificial intelligence and, you know, the things building things that eventually the robots take over and now we're, like, screwed or whatever.
Yeah.
But the other distinct possibility, I believe, happens when we figure out the right relationship with our technology, with all of this stuff that is being birthed right now that, again, I think we only so much even understand what it really is. Because I think within that technology is the potential for more and more eliminating all of the annoying, frustrating, unnecessary labor that we do on this planet just to survive. And if we can figure out how to properly distribute wealth and resources, and not talking about communism, let's just make that very clear. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm saying if we somehow intelligently figure out a way to utilize everyone's gifts and strengths and skill sets to properly contribute to a bigger thing that properly rewards each person and at least meets everybody's basic needs, and they have extra free time to then utilize their skills and develop them even more so to contribute something that they're even deeper passionate about, I think we could create something really cool. So that may sound super optimistic, but for me, it's...
What you guys can't see right now is Nate has the book 1984 on his lap under the desk, and he's actually reading from it. George Orwell, 1984. Like that, he said, I'm not talking about communism, but here's what communism is, which I'm not, for or against it. Maybe I'm a socialist. I don't know really where I stand with that, but.
Well, the difference, I think, between this and communism, and I won't even say that I know like that much about communism, but I feel like in communism there's this whole there's a government or people controlling everything and basically just telling you what to do, and that's not what I'm talking about.
Right, the Communist Party, like in China.
It's literally everyone is a sovereign human being acting from their free will, and we somehow develop the capacity for everybody to communicate together effectively, like every cell in the body being able to talk to each other and figure out how to get other parts of the body what it needs.
I think we're there as far as technology goes. I think we could all do away with the toying away with work and stuff like that. I just think relationally, like humans, we have too much drama. Why the hell, Putin? Why do you really want the Ukraine? Why do you care if the United States is on your front doorstep? Why? Huh? It's 2022, yo. Don't you want to know what's happening with the Kardashians or something like that? Jesus, it's you have the biggest landmass in the world. You know what I mean? You're not satisfied. So I think it's just, human greed and other things like that keeps us from having this utopia as you describe it. Something that I wanted to say though was about the metaverse, and I had the same reaction as everybody else. I think when Mark Zuckerberg, I think it was back in September, he made a video and he introduced here's what we're working now on at Meta, when they changed the name, and I literally wanted to vomit. I had to pause it in the middle of it. I was like, I don't want to live in this world, especially if Mark Zuckerberg's the one creating it. Please God, anyone. There's a short list of people that I would not like to do this. And, Adolf Hitler and Mark Zuckerberg are two of the people on that list. Anyways, and I'm not saying that, they're the same person. Anyways, but what I realized a couple months later after I saw that video was I was sitting in my kitchen and I was on my MacBook and I had my Apple Watch here, had my AirPods in, and I had my phone set up over here. I was not getting any real stimulation from the outside world in my kitchen. I was just in this circle jerk of Apple products. I can't say circle without jerk afterwards. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm sitting in this world where I'm consumed with my laptop, and anytime my cell phone buzzes, I'm looking at my cell phone and the messages are being read to me through my AirPods, and my watch is keeping track of my pulse and telling me it's time to stand up, it's time to sit down. I'm I'm kind of a step away from being in the metaverse. Although I'm no, don't put the goggles on me. I'm just if those goggles look good, if they're Gucci, I might slap those things on. So I think a lot of people had that initial reaction of just no, I want to still see people face to face and go to dinner with my friends and travel and go to Mount Kilimanjaro, which I plan on doing next year, with my friends in Kenya and stuff like that. I want to actually go experience those. I don't want to just do it on a VR headset or AR headset, which Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, they're all working on this technology right now.
Sure.
I don't want to do that, but I'm we're inches away. We're fourth and one. And then what's really crazy to me, and that I realized just this past week, that I'm Nate, I want to tell you about this, is in the metaverse, we'll be interacting with each other via our avatars.
Yep.
And my avatar, I could be a 6'8" blonde hair Amazon woman. You know what I mean? I can be whoever the hell I want to be. And me and you, Nate, you're a short, pudgy Irishman, with a battle axe or whatever that you're carrying around, and red hair, and so we look completely different these are our avatars, and we're in a room and we're doing this podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that's kind of weird. But it's not that weird, because already we're becoming accustomed to dealing with each other's avatars. How so, you say? How so? On Instagram, I post pictures and videos of myself that I want you to see. I post the image of myself that I want you to believe I am.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not interacting with me directly. You're interacting with the picture or the video that I took an hour ago or yesterday. You know, my previous self, that person doesn't even exist anymore. And it's just a person that I want you to think I am. So, like, we are already accustomed to dealing with people as avatars. And this is why things like the culture has changed. Like, we're cool with ghosting people, like on dating apps like Bumble or Hinge or whatever. And because they're just an avatar. They're not a person. I'm typing to you for a day or two, and then I'm bored. And I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I'm not going to say what happened. I'm not, you're dehumanized. So I think this is the direction, which is scary to me and it's sad, but it's like, man, that's why you need to just go to Bali and just move out of the fucking country. That's why I think geographic arbitrage is important, because although this technology will get to those countries eventually, there are still spaces in the world that are different than here.
Yeah. So to counteract the point that you just said for a minute, from a perspective I recently heard, it's not new to go into a bar, talk to someone for a minute, and then leave and never talk to them again. Ghosting isn't a new thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But actually, I want to lead that into a real point that I wanted to say to respond to you, which is, for me, my biggest concern about all this technology stuff is, are we going to use it to more and more disconnect from our biological beings, or are we going to use it a way to enhance our biological experience? And to me, that's like the biggest differentiating factor of kind of how we lead towards more of a dystopian future and more of a desirable one, is, are we utilizing this technology in a way to enhance our real world experiences as human fucking beings who are in bodies?
Yeah.
I think there's something really important about having bodies. When I hear people talk about I'm excited for the point we get to where I can just fucking upload my consciousness into the fucking metaverse and I can just live as my avatar all the time. I'm like, I think we're missing something here, because actually none of that technology would have existed without our biological bodies. And I think there's something important. And I'm having my experience of my senses through my biological body. It just gets really weird when you're like, I'm just transferring my consciousness here and I'll just save, my whole character and then upload him again, after this body dies into, I don't know. It's just a weird fucking thing. I don't know if you have anything to say.
No,
on that.
I'm just like, I think I love that idea of are we building technology to disconnect from our biological body or to enhance? Which one is it? And I think the verdict is still out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I can't call it right now. I love my AirPods and my Apple Watch and the fact that I get into my car and my stuff automatically connects. It's really weird, but it's kind of enhancing my experience in life, I would say. But I do feel a disconnect from certain people when they ghost. I know you say it's not a new thing. We're gonna have to.
I'm not saying it's a good thing either.
It's not a good. No. But you're not saying it's a new thing. I think it's a different kind of ghosting. I work in a bar. I've worked in bars for years, and I'm like, that's a different ghost. That's like one person coming up to another person who might not have any interest in you at all, and then you say, hi, bye, nice to meet you. That's that. Versus Hinge or something, and you're like, I want you too. Let's talk, and let's plan something, and then I ghost, kind of thing. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that annoys me too.
But anywho, I don't know. The verdict, I think, is still out, whether it's disconnect or enhance. And it's kind of like Mark Zuckerberg's motto for Facebook is move fast and break things. Is what he tells people to do, which is interesting, but I don't think they even know what this thing, like, there's no way Mark Zuckerberg could have predicted in 2007 or 2000, like when Facebook started coming out in 2005, that it would start to skew elections and stuff like that. No, he just thought it was going to be a bunch of college kids connecting and, hooking up or whatever, or like keeping up with your friends. And now it's become what it is.
Yeah.
So I think the metaverse, like, we're not going to know until we're in it. And
we're kind of already in it.
We
already spend so much time sucked into our phones that, like, it already influences our biology, like the actions we take, the motivations we have, the desires we have to a huge degree.
Yeah.
It's like I am run by this fucking thing.
It's really
already
weird.
Like it's just separate from me rather than being on my face. Like it's in my pocket.
Yeah.
But it's not long before before I have a chip in my arm, before I have, whatever Neuralink in my fucking brain.
Yeah.
It's like it's just the next evolution of what's already been happening.
Just yesterday, I caught myself, like, my eyes have been hurting for the past couple of days, and I realized it's probably too much screen time. But, like, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm constantly checking this thing for dopamine hits. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, like, I'm looking for, did I get a new email? No. Did I get a new Instagram message? No. Did I get WhatsApp? Did I get a message? Like, what can I do to take me out of this moment? Because I want dopamine. I need dopamine. I'm craving it. Like, can I open this app and play chess or do something like that to, like, get a hit of something, So, yeah, man, it's enhancing, but also, like, it's a drug, and we know how drugs typically turn out when you get addicted to them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say in this, because I think this is a topic that's very complex.
It's super complex.
And so difficult.
We have no answers.
No answers. Difficult to wrap my mind around it. One thing that I've experienced working with different substances, psychedelics, plant medicines, whatever you want to call them, one thing I notice is a huge factor on my experience on a substance what is my intention going into it?
Yeah. I've not learned to not hit this table, like, but anyways, keep going.
Okay, I'll do a few too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right.
Yeah, like, what is my intention going into it, and what is my purpose, and why am I doing this? Who am I doing this with? How are we doing this? What kind of container are we creating? Are we doing it just randomly out in the desert, just trying to disconnect? Is that my intention? Is just to fucking disconnect and whatever, get away from my problems, go just have a very basic, like, good time? Or am I sitting in ceremony with someone who has, like, a deep lineage of facilitating spaces for specific intentions and purposes and reasons and healings and transformation? I think technology is the fucking same. To me, plant medicine is a technology. And I think that one way I can see us moving towards that positive outcome is by treating technology more and more like we treat plant medicines. Are we doing this ceremonially? Are we really going deep into why we're doing this? Are we really being honest with the effects of it? Am I doing it too much? Am I going to ayahuasca every single weekend, and now I'm just using this as an escape, just like someone would cocaine?
Yeah.
It's like the same fucking thing. So that's, like, my last piece I want to add.
and I just have, like, two words that I want to say. Intentionality is so important in today's, like society. Like, checking my phone with intention, not just going there for dopamine, checking it because, like, hey, I'm expecting an email from this person, like, I need to check. Instead of just like, well, let me go through all the apps and see if there's anything going on in there. Intentionality, I think, it can help save us from ourselves with these phones and tech addictions. And then spontaneity is also still important as well. Mm-hmm. Like, being open to spontaneous, like, real life situations. So I think those things make us so human, like, keep us connected to each other. Spontaneity, meeting someone, of doing something like this, like, Yeah, so both. Those are my two takeaways, and the word is freedom as well, and causality. Those are I can't even say it right anymore.
Causality.
Casuality. Yeah, we're working on that one, but yeah, freedom and having options is great and important to me, but spontaneity and intentionality, I think, are really important when it comes to the development of the Web3 and the metaverse.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. I love you.
If it weren't on a mic arm.
If it didn't cost so much money. Don't drop our mics. These are expensive mics.
For sure. It's a Shure mic.
Oh, nice. Shout out to Shure. If you guys want to sponsor the podcast, Shure, we love your mics.
Yo, I appreciate all the sponsor invitations, man. We got multiple going here.
Exactly.
That's great.
Shout out to Buddha as well. Buddha, if you're listening to this podcast,
yes.
We could really use your support.
Send us your unconditional love, non-judgment, and equanimity, please.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Another mic drop, please.
Well, dude, thanks for coming on the podcast. This is so fun.
This is crazy. I didn't know it was gonna go this way. I just spoke, but I hope people got something out of it.
I mean, I had fun. It was a great journey. I had a good time, and that's really all that matters. If anyone else gets something out of it, like, that's great. But like, this is some, like, I'm in my bedroom making art for myself shit, and like, we're just getting together and making a song, and like, cool. If other people get something out of it, great, awesome.
Yeah. But I had fun too. This is awesome. Like, I obviously get like passionate and nerdy about shit, and I'm like, let me tell you about shit.
Who's the nerd now?
Right.
I totally was a nerd in college, though. And high school even more so, but yeah, for sure.
I didn't know you back then, but yeah, I believe it. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. And I sound like a dick. I wasn't a cool kid.
No, dude, I find it fascinating because I look at myself in that way, too. I'm just like, who was I back then?
Nerds are cool.
Nerds around the world, man. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks, everyone, for listening. If you want to follow David, I think you shouted out your social media a couple times already, but it's David's Never Home. Is that
It's
right?
pretty simple. That's right.
Love it.
And if you want to buy any real estate in the Phoenix area, holla at your boy.
Definitely. Man, yeah, I got to get my funds up so I can do that.
Got you. I can start selling pizzas for you at night if you need some help.
Oh, shit. All right.
Gotcha.
All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.